Let's welcome in now Senior Director of the Iran Program at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Behnam Ben Taleblu, along with former CIA analyst, former Trump National Security Counsel, and Vice Chair of America First Policy Institute's American Security, Fred Fleitz. A good afternoon, gentlemen. Behnam, let me go to you first. What is the situation in Iran? What are you hearing? And does this have the potential, this uprising, to become something larger?
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you. Happy belated New Year to you and fellow panelists and all your viewers. In short, certainly this already is something else. This is coming close now, Tehran time, near to the end of day 6 of the first multi-city, multi-day nationwide uprising against the Islamic Republic of Iran since the 12-day war against Israel this June. You may remember that the regime and even some Western media outlets then alleged that there was a nationalist rally around the flag and that the Iranian people, which have long protested against the regime, actually sided with the regime. Well, this just torpedoes that fallacy out the window. The vast majority of the slogans are against the regime in its entirety. Only 1 or 2 economic slogans have been heard despite this protest being triggered by an economic issue. So this just shows you how much broad-based popular discontent, again, as the reporter in the lead there just mentioned, anywhere between 30 to 50 confirmed cities, towns, and villages participating in these protests with the potential for the contagion effect to grow, particularly after the president's kind of wind beneath the wings comment, which even if the president doesn't live up to his own word, will, one, terrify the Ayatollahs about the chances that he would, given that this is going to be the 5-year anniversary of him taking out Qasem Soleimani tomorrow. And then 2, the fact that no other Western leader has even bothered to give such strong rhetorical and political support.
Fred, what did you make of President Trump's tweet saying that if any protester was killed, the U.S. will come to their rescue? What does he mean by that?
Well, this is what we want to hear from the leader of the free world, and contrast this to what happened when massive protests broke out in 2009 with the rigged re-election of President Ahmadinejad. Obama was afraid to say anything because he didn't want to offend Iran's leaders. He was interested in getting a nuclear deal, which ended up being the fraudulent JCPOA deal. So the French led the world in condemning the violent protests, the oppression of the violent protests in Iran. So Trump is stepping forward, and he has to step forward also to press other leaders, especially European leaders, to tell the Iranian leadership, this is unacceptable. We know you're shooting at your own people. You're going to use violence like you have many times before against your people who are protesting for freedom, and we're not going to stand for it.
Behnam, it was just a few days ago that we were reporting Iran was rebuilding its ballistic missile sites and its nuclear program, that Benjamin Netanyahu, that was one of the topics that he wanted to take up with President Trump at Mar-a-Lago, was the fact that they were running these tests. How does this play into the protests, if at all? We know that Iran is still sending billions of dollars to Hezbollah, to Hamas, funding terror networks around the world, whereas their people are experiencing right now water shortages, inflation at really high levels. How does the way the regime work with its terror proxies toward Israel, escalation toward the U.S., and these protests, what does that dynamic look like?
Well, no doubt there is a cycle of defeat, and weakness is contagious. The regime, again, had its nose more than significantly bloodied in the 12-day war against Israel and America, and it thought it could cower the population in rendering them to being afraid, given the fact that there's been over 2,000 executions this year, given the fact that since the 12-day war there have been over 21,000 arrests this year, or trying to render them apathetic with these half-promises from Iran's President Pezeshkian, or these attempts to, quote-unquote, selectively unenforce the hijab in certain parts of certain towns in the country that are more affluent. Ultimately, the population did not go for this at all. But the reason what affects people on the ground in Iran also affects us here in the West is because the apparatus of domestic suppression is also the apparatus of foreign aggression. So if you're a policymaker in Israel, if you're a policymaker in America, you should be looking quite closely what is happening on the street, because this is the cost of not having a nationalist and secular government in Tehran. This is the cost of not having government in Iran that, for lack of a better word, isn't interested in making Iran great again and isn't interested in putting Iran first. So one has to seriously connect the dots, whether you're President Trump or Prime Minister Netanyahu. Go after their apparatus of suppression, go after their terrorist apparatus, go after their nuclear program, and go after their missile program. That's what I would recommend.
Fred, do you agree? And what should President Trump do? It was just a few days ago he said he'd have bilateral talks with Iran, that he wants to negotiate with them. That offer was extended before the 12-day war. Then there was the B-2 U.S. bombers, but that offer still stands. Do you think it should still stand right now?
I think that was brilliant analysis by Ben. I completely agree with it. Trump does not want a war with Iran. He wants to use diplomacy, but he made it clear that these indications that Iran is reconstituting its missile and nuclear programs, he's not going to put up with that. Iran recently conducted what appeared to be tests. There was video of this test of its missiles, I think somewhere near Tehran. There is at least one underground facility called Pickaxe Mountain that Iran is building to build either nuclear or missile parts. And the Iranian people know about this, and they don't have water, they don't have food, their economy's been destroyed. They know that the mullahs running this country have ground it into the dust, and that's why we've seen these protests.
All right, Fred Fleitz, Behnam Ben Taleblu, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate your analysis.
Good to be here.
Thank you.